the men in my family are so unapologetically like themselves. I think you were saying that like we come on matriculations, everyone's in their gowns.
Yes,
sort of,
bro.
like,
That's what. Yeah, go ahead, say it.
my dad, like, he's obviously from the villages. When I say, like, the mud and stones villages, he comes wearing his kurta, his, like, sandals, whatever, like, wearing his topi on his head. He don't care where he is. Meeting the president, meeting the queen, bro. He's going to be rocking that. And he will sit, like this. He's chilling. No one, like, do you get what I mean? He owns every space that he enters. I'm getting really cheesy. I'm sorry. I'm not, I'm not actually moist in real life.
Saduddin,
Suleiman.
how was your week, bro?
My week's been okay. We just finished exams, and so I went back to London for a couple of days to just soak in the fact that I have a bit of freedom. And I remember getting to London and walking past a lot of places that I used to like jog through or walk through when I was like in sixth form or secondary school. And it was weird because I'm like retracing these steps, and now I'm at a completely different point in my life now. And I just remember thinking, like, what would I think my younger self, like, what would my younger self say if I told him, like, yo, by the way, this is what's happened between now and then. And it's such a far-fetched thing to kind of think out loud, like, yeah, like, my son graduated. And it was weird because it's just that kind of juxtaposition of, like, I've always walked these steps, but it's just, I'm at a completely different point in my life now. So that was really refreshing. And just being in London anyway, I just remember thinking, like, this place is just so sick. Like, that's just how I felt. I was like, London is just unmatched. It's just, there's just something about it that is like, there's nowhere else I'd rather be in the world, I don't think. So yeah, I just remember feeling very grateful and just reminding myself of like the years I've had at uni and like how sick, like definitely beyond academia. Like I'm not talking about that, but in terms of like the things I've been able to do within the 3 years, not necessarily even to do with uni, just while I've been a uni student, I've just been like, yeah, like I'm just reminding myself like to be grateful because they've just been mad years. I've met bare cool people, been able to do so much cool experiences, and I'm just like, cool, on to the next chapter. Yeah, Suleiman, how about you?
No, man, that's a nice reflection. I can definitely relate to that feeling of walking past somewhere that you grew up around, and like you being different, but that place being the same. And it's like some things remain permanent, whereas all of us are always ever evolving, ever changing. Different clothes, might have a new haircut, like new experiences that have changed our perspectives over the years. That's a really nice feeling, bro. In terms of one of my highlights, I would say I recently watched this show on BBC iPlayer called Time. I was speaking to Zahra about it on the way here, and it's only 3 episodes on BBC iPlayer. It's about, I don't want to spoil too much, but essentially a teacher goes to prison because he not accidentally, but he kills someone whilst driving, like drunk driving. So he ends up having to do 4 years in prison, and it just explores his everyday life in prison and his like experiences of being bullied, experiences of having to kind of just deal with a lot of stress and a lot of pain and a lot of trauma around him, like the people he's living in his cell with, like the prison guards and the stuff that they've got going on behind the scenes. It's like I haven't seen anything I haven't seen anything on TV that's as real as that show in a while. Like, wow. You know when we that book you recommended by Gabriel Krause? Yeah, so that's real. Like, there was a lot of real and authentic and like sharp things about that book, but that was obviously in a written form. This was a visual form, so it was a different dynamic, man. So I recommend checking that out for real. But Zahra, chat to us, man. How's your week been?
My week's been hectic. Wait, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Testing. I went back to London for last week. I don't know, so my sister basically got married 2 years ago and she decided to leave us all and move to Dubai permanently.
No.
It's been a whole emotional experience. Like, my mum's been for about 2 years now just been really upset because inevitably she was going to have to move. So yeah, it was like every day just trying to get like some London highlights, like some of our favourite restaurants we would go to, things like that. So she left on the Friday, and 2 days before that, my sister-in-law gave birth to
Wow.
her first son. Yeah.
Crazy.
So that Thursday in between is like one person was coming home and another person was leaving, and it's like there's too much going on right now. Like, and I came back to Cambridge the next day because I was like, I need to like slow down. Like,
Yeah.
too much is going on. That's literally it, you know.
That's cool. Is that like, would you say that's part and parcel of living in having a big family? Like so many things go on
That's
at one point.
yeah. Like it's never a quiet. Like it's never a dull moment. Like for sure. My sister, we used to always violate her because she's like such a quiet character. Like bless her, she's so mesquite, like soft spoken, everything. And everyone used to always joke about like not ever like she doesn't make any noise, she doesn't talk, she doesn't do anything. But the fact that she's not here now is hitting everyone
That is
hard.
powerful.
Like,
That's powerful.
on the car home from the airport, everyone like we're not on emotion, like we don't engage with our emotions with each other. Everyone's like looking out of their own windows, like hiding their tears or whatnot. Bruv, it was peak. But yeah, now living in a big family means always something going on, and you don't know who's at home, who's not at home. Our front door's always open. Like if you want to come in and like rob the house, you can do what you want. Like no one is stopping you, bro.
Would you say how would you say you're different and similar to your older sister?
Do you know what? If I could be anyone in this world, I would want to be her. Like she is like, bruv, my older sister is. If you guys ever got to meet her, I don't know how to explain. Like, mashallah, no one has a heart as pure as hers. She's basically like a really soft character, and like growing up, I'm not answering your question. I'm just reminiscing, innit? Growing up, we used to always beef each other, and obviously, I'm like the gorilla of the family. Like, I'm just on smoke with everyone. My sister's like delicate. Like you can't. And eventually, I try fighting her, and she would just be like looking away. I would be too embarrassed to continue beefing her, but yeah, she just carries herself so well. She's like so principled. So to be able to say that to any degree I'm like her would be a big compliment. But everyone says, "Oh, you're polar opposites," which is true. I'm a bit more like what's the opposite of like dainty?
You got character.
That's a
Lucky
nice way of saying it.
A battle axe.
Is there one thing that you feel like you've learned from her, like one specific lesson that you've taken away from your relationship with her that you want to carry on?
I'll be real. So I've got 3 older sisters that growing up with them has completely like shaped who I am. Oldest one, she's like the free-spirited, down-to-earth, like proper soulful type of character. She's got your back for anything, all of that. Second one is like crazy. She's got like a huge personality. She's just so much character in one person. She, like my sister, she's inspired me so much towards religion, towards like having good morals, good principles, like guiding me on the right path. I try my best to be like to take from what I can like of their good characters, because alhamdulillah, like I definitely won the lottery in it, like with the family that I got going. Because if it weren't for them, I don't know. I always think like, bruv, I'm lucky with my family. I'm living my life. Like these people made me who I am entirely, bruv. Yeah. So from her, I would say defo principles, morals, all of that stuff. Like she got me solid. It's getting a little bit like emotional.
Nah, I feel like if someone was to ask me to describe you, I'll be like, she's the type of person to describe you. I'd be like, she's the type of person that really have a heart on her sleeve. Like you're very, that's kind of the saying that comes to mind when I think about you sometimes. Like you're very confident to just be who you are in different spaces, and I guess that's kind of me knowing a bit more about your sisters now. It kind of makes a bit more sense. Do you know what I mean?
It's probably cute. I'm flattered.
That's so cool. Yeah, I think I always admire that quality, that someone that's being able to be themselves in any room. And I suppose being in a big family, you probably have to be yourself in a lot of different spaces.
I think that I was mentioning before, like this, my dad definitely like is like that. I was having this conversation yesterday. Like the men in my family are so unapologetically like themselves. I think you were saying that like we come on matriculations, everyone's in their gowns.
Yes,
sort of,
bro.
like,
That's what. Yeah, go ahead, say it.
my dad, like, he's obviously from the villages. So when I say like the mud and stones villages, he comes wearing his kurta, his like sandals, whatever, like wearing his topi on his head. He don't care where he is, meeting the president, meeting the queen, bro. He's gonna be rocking that, and he will sit like this. He's chilling. No one, like, do you get what I mean? He owns every space that he enters. I take after my dad. My mum's obviously like my sister takes after my mum. Let's just put it that way.
That's interesting.
I have a question. I just want to know, like, what is one sort of like guiding principle, if you have any, that you would say you live your life by?
That's a sick question. I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to be able to put it into words in a very succinct way, but it's something to do with that concept of reflection. I feel like for as long as I carve out the time to reflect on my previous actions and the previous day, the following day will be better. Do you know what I mean? Like that's just something that that I think is really important.
Mine is, and it's a different tone, but one thing I've been thinking about recently, especially with you, like thinking about the time I've spent at uni, would be to do cool things with your friends. Like in any opportunity that you have, if you have a group of friends or one person or two people that you're like, yeah, these people are good people, I rock with them, then just do something with them, whether that's like a project that's creative or charitable or whatever it is, just do it. And I think in a sense it's a guiding principle because it's something I always will try and do. Because even if it flops, even if whatever the thing is flops, it will still be a good experience and it will still be something you can learn from and then do something better the next time. So yeah, that's something I've been thinking about recently.
I like that.
Do you have one that comes to mind?
I saw this like somewhere down Cambridge the other day, and it was like they were talking about. I just saw the quote, and it says something like improve the life of everyone you meet. And I like that a lot. I feel like, as people, I don't know, I feel like this life can be ugly and messy and all of those things, and it's really people that will bring any sort of light or value or anything you have to your life. And I think it'd be a beautiful thing to be that person to other people. Obviously, if you guys don't feel like I've done that for you, keep your mouth shut. You don't got to mention that, but nah, like, especially more recently, like, with my sister going, there's just been a lot of like hellos and goodbyes recently in different contexts. But yeah, life is meant to be short and pass by like this. Like the only thing you can do is I don't know, like make memories with the people that you value and find more people to value and improve the life of everyone you meet. Like
I like that.
Beautiful way of thinking.
I found it very like profound when you mentioned how your sister's very quiet. But but she's had a very loud impact in the sense of like her not being there, you can tell it, even though you can't hear her, and you previously probably couldn't hear her much as well because she wasn't speaking too loud. It feels very different. Do you know what I mean? Like someone so quiet having a loud impact. I think that says a lot about her, and yeah, man, it's interesting to think about. Let's go back to like your early memories, because that's like a question we'd like to ask all of our guests. Like, what are some of your earliest memories growing up? Are there any that come to mind?
Memories, boy, where do we begin? How much time we got? Early memories, bro. I honestly maybe I don't even know how to organize my thoughts on this one. Growing up in the family that we grew, like we didn't exactly grow up in wealth per se. We've had like mad experiences moving from like one. That weren't me. We lived in like a bed and breakfast at some point. We were like going from one house to another. It was a chaotic upbringing. And I just remember like no matter how sort of rough or jarring things got, like my family is very big on family ties, holding it all together and that. So we do these things called dawads. I don't know if you guys. No, it's basically just family gatherings. we do them regularly and constantly, and it would just be like the whole family, cousins, everyone getting involved, going to my grandma's house or whoever's house and just chilling. And that is something that's always going to define like my future, like having so many experiences with my family as a young person.
So how often did you visit India growing up when you were young?
We was going every year.
Every year?
Summer. I hated it. There's insects that I'm sure science has never discovered. You know, it is, and they're brave. It is their country. I'm just a visitor, but these insects are gonna run you out. The weather's mad. The food is good actually, but still mad sometimes. Yeah, it wasn't the best experience. Oh, but do you guys visit your countries a lot?
The last time I visited, I've never been to Syria. Last time I visited Sudan was a while ago, like 5-6 years ago. So yeah, I haven't. Yeah, it's been a while. But for me, I really get a taste of what you're describing as in sort of family, the importance of family. Everything kind of revolves around family in Sudan because it's the thing to do. Like, I don't know, in the UK, family's not a thing to do. It just exists. Yeah. But in Sudan, it's like a thing to do. It's part of like the itinerary. So yeah, that was the last time. What about you?
Yeah, no, I've never been, but I want to go. Yeah, something I want to tap into in the future.
Just be aware of the insects.
No,
They're there.
Yeah.
They're waiting.
Do you not get used to it after? Or is it still a thing of like, this is crazy?
Now, no, I don't think insects are one thing I could never. You see them I was reading one book called like The Passage to India or something like that, and it was basically talking about how India is something you'll never be able to wrap your head around. Like it's never ending. Like inside every forest is something, and you don't want to explore. It's not fascinating. It's not mystical. Just stay out. Just stay in your rooms, bro.
It's not worth it. It's not worth it. Trust me.
No, that is a culture shock if ever there's a culture shock. But yeah, I think we really now, because there's so many of us, you can't organise everyone together unless it's a wedding. Last time we went was for my sister's wedding.
Okay.
She got married in India.
Oh, see.
So let's go back to school days. How would you describe the school that you went to?
The school that I went to, it's a strange one. It's like my school wasn't good. It wasn't terrible. It wasn't one of those like, oh, you know, there's like police coming in. There was a school close to ours called John Kelly, which had that reputation. But my school was just like, it was sort of whatever that year group at the time made of it, sort of thing. But it was sort of on extreme ends. You obviously had some people who made it up to Oxbridge. It was very few and far between, I would say. But on the most part, especially during high school days, it was as any secondary school in ends would sort of be like there would be the normal fights or this and that, and I think it's more interesting not so much to look at school but what the people from school have sort of branched out to do, because I do think a lot of your like where you are right now is defined by that sort of stage in your life, your upbringing to that degree. So there's quite a variety between people who are, you know, in this type of uni or in another uni or on the other end of the spectrum, which would not be uni. Yeah, so I think like the way I describe my school is it was really like a place where anything could happen. Like you could either go left or go right, like, and everything in between.
That's interesting. That's probably exactly how I describe my school experience, or like my school as well. That's interesting. So how did you navigate that then?
See, me, I was a good kid.
Yeah.
Wait, what do you mean how did I navigate that?
Because there are so many potential routes.
Yeah.
Like, were you like, okay, I'm gonna be this person, or did you kind of ricochet through it, like each year?
I genuinely ricocheted. Like I've never been one to have like long. What's that thing where you see far into the future? Foresight, hindsight, sight, vision. I never had that. I just sort of like was going through each year. I knew like thing is I enjoy studying. Like I genuinely really enjoy it. First couple years just had my head down in my book. At some point I think year 9 is when I was like, oh, like let me start mingling, like see what the people are about. Let
me check this place out, right?
And then from the time I got to like year 10, year 11, I was in like a friendship group that was really mixed. Like there was like 6 of us all together, and it was just pure vibes like every day. The thing is, I did alhamdulillah get good grades at the end, but the group that we had was very mixed in terms of like the types of characters that we had and whatnot. Like I was probably the sensible one out of everyone. But yeah, every day was like a different motive. Like we'd always be bunking and getting chased. Like these would have us running around the school by the security guards. Like there's something going on.
How did you, like in hindsight, and maybe at the time, how did you choose your friends? Those 6 people or 5 people?
Do you know what? Like one of my closest friends that I have right now. We hated each other in the beginning. We always say like she used to go around like violating people for no reason. That was that was her thing. And I used to turn around and just like go up to these people and be like, she didn't mean it, and then go like with like have like rows with each other, going, why are you being so tough and why are you being so da da da. And we ended up becoming like best friends after that. And then from that, I don't know, like everyone just sort of like gravitated towards each other. How did we come about? I don't know. Our school was quite close knit. Especially by the time we got to 6th form, everyone else kind of got stripped away, and it was like a lot of people, like whoever was left, everyone would just sort of chill with each other. It was nice vibes, but I think I enjoy that. Like I enjoy just meeting like completely different types of people. Like people are interesting, and I'll say it time and time again. Like people are what make life interesting. So that's it. Like I like meeting different types.
So you stayed at the 6th form?
Yeah. I went to another one in the beginning, and it was my 6th form KHS had 150 people. This other one had like 700-800, and I was just like, nah, I can't do this.
Okay.
In hindsight, would it have made my transition to uni easier? Probably. But everything happens for a reason, so you know.
Fair enough. You went to the 6th form?
Nah, it was the same
okay,
from year 7 to year 13. I was gonna ask. So you mentioned earlier that maybe your friends would have described you as one of the sensible ones in your group. How would you say like your friends' perception of you changed during your time in high school? Like, how would they have described you in year 9, and then how would they have described you in year 13, year 12, year 11? Do you know what I mean? Like, how did that change?
I think my character was a lot more like. I think my character was a lot more consistent from year 7 to year 13, and I genuinely think that between 1st year and 3rd year, I have lived like 10 lifetimes. Not 10, but you know what I mean. Like my whole life has changed in that time, rather than from year 7 to year 13. I was just like the. How do you describe yourself? Like funny. I was just a bit more like, I would say I was a lot more reserved, a lot more sort of like uptight. Like you know, when it came to certain like things with religion or things like that, I was just had my head down in my books. I knew I had to go have a good time at the same time, but a lot more pattern. And then when I came to uni, I was just like, let me just enjoy life. Like not I wasn't doing that in math. But let me not be so uptight about everything in life. And I just learned to like I think I have no shame in terms of like, I just don't feel embarrassed about things. I'll just proper do whatever I want, like enjoy whatever I do. Make a big fool of myself. It is what it is, isn't it? What about you, Lots? What do you think has been your main like changing point?
I try to assume less about a thing and maybe ask more.
Do you know what this makes me think about? Did you ever see this post on Instagram, like there's more to life than the ends, and there would be like a beach in the background? Listen, like that, like it's funny looking at that now, but honestly I think it's actually a really deep point about how a lot of young people from similar backgrounds to us never leave their areas, and like because we've gone to uni in a different city, we've intermingled with people from different class backgrounds, whatever, like we've just been in so many different spaces, which means that when I was younger, like when I was in when I was like 15 or 14, there were only like 5 spaces I would ever really be in. Do you know what I mean?
What?
I would only be on my estate, at my grandma's house, at school, at a shopping centre, or maybe in the park. Like those are 5 spaces I would just literally jump between, which means that like something happens to me in one of those spaces, I only have 4 other spaces to really think about what would I have done in,
in the park.
like, do you know what I mean? Like,
if this was at my grandma's house, you'd be finished, bro.
but now it's just different, bro, because it's like, I don't know why. I always think about if someone came up to you on a hype thing and tried to like, I don't know, just was very aggressive towards you, how would I respond now compared to how would I respond when I was 15? And I think because maybe it's different, isn't it? But
do you know what's funny? You say that, yeah. I remember the first time I went work experience in sixth form, yeah. There was a guy that I was like, maybe I can ask him this question, but I was like, it was on my mind. I was like, so what happens with like, how do you handle beef when you're like a full-time worker? But obviously I can't ask him that. But I'm like,
how is that going through your head?
I don't know what it is, but I don't know. But suddenly I mentioned it, and it's like it is a thing at the front of your head. Like, alright, cool. So like, what do you go to work and then do your thing? And your lunch break.
I can't be back by 1.
I can't be back by 1.
we gotta end this, bro.
Do you have spare AirPods in the back? It's crazy. And it reminds me of something that Ali said when we had him on, yeah, and we were having this conversation about like, would you send your kids to private school, etc., etc. And one thing I think about is he says, bro, there's so many things I know because I went to the school I did that I don't want to know. Like, why do I think like this, or why do I know this stuff?
I probably went yes.
But like, it just makes you think like that, because if we didn't go to, I don't know, the environments, whatever, you wouldn't think in that way, but you do. I don't know. I don't know how I would like evaluate that, whether it's like net positive or net negative, but it's just something to think about. What were you gonna say?
I don't know, but let my kid turn around and say the word blimey to me.
Blimey, mum.
Mum, this is a rocking sandwich.
The whole like, what sort of school would you send your kids to? Boy, I don't know, because I do believe like growing up in the circumstances that we grew up in, and I think it's fair to say it was all quite similar. I do think there's a lot of life experience in a sort of bubble of itself. Like, there's a lot of life experience, a lot of sort of skills that you learn, a lot of like, I think especially when it comes to life skills, street skills, like all of that sort of stuff. It don't teach you about the real world though. That's the big thing. I'm telling you, boy, when I came to this uni, I remember, number one, the rest of the world is a lot taller than me. For some reason, than people from ends. I was looking at everyone when I first came to this uni, and I was like, boy, like, everyone is giants, and they look like they got so much more life experience than me. Like, you are 18 years old, but it looks like you're about 21. And I feel like a even smaller, like, brown little hijabi, like, trying to catch up to everyone. But I think, like, what you were saying before as well, like, there's more to life than the ends. It is actually mad to know that your perception of life and all of those things will be, and where you end up in the future will be determined by the things that you'll be exposed to in your, like, in growing up and things like that.
On the way here, you were like, you strongly believe that environment determines who you are, like your environment shapes you. Speak on that. Why do you think that way?
I like environment. Okay, the first thing, I read a quote that said, if you want to get to know a person, look at the 3-4 people they spend the most time with. I think you are your friends. I think there's a quote, Islamic quote about it, like, you adopt the fragrance of your friends. Something like that. If it's not like that, don't sort of mark me to it. But I think that's really important. Like, I believe very strongly in energies and things like that. I'm talking on a personal level first. The people you surround yourself with, all of their norms will become your norms. All of their, the way their outlook on life, I think, is very important. You're going to adopt that because you are going to start seeing life through the same lenses, and your energies will largely be absorbed. In terms of, like, the environment you grew up in, because, like I said, the world is a huge place. There is so much going on that you naturally will have to try contain it in your own little way and understand it in your own little way. And that's what we do as communities. We try to, take what we can from the world, sort of like put a little bit of labels, a little bit of rules and instructions, and we slap it down onto different groups of people. And some people have the privilege of knowing that we are in one community and there is life beyond us. And they will be able to explore, like, alhamdulillah, we were able to come here and meet very different people, a variety of people and things like that. I think it is a massive privilege though, because a lot of people don't even know like their life to them is life and the world as it is, that period, end of. There's no more to it. But it's a blessing to be able to see that there's actually more to everything.
Let's talk a bit more about Cambridge then. So like, how has your opinion of Cambridge changed in the last 3 years since you first arrived?
I think my opinion of Cambridge changed when I, as a person, changed. I'll tell you when I first arrived, bro. When my dad left me, everyone was trying to chat to me. I had tears in my eyes. I was like, can everyone like, please, like. I was bugging when I first saw my college parents. I was actually like, is a degree worth it? I remember walking through like Westcourt on Jesus, like somewhere in Jesus, and I was thinking, no degree is worth this right now. Like they like people. I don't know. I was bugging. Like there's no other way to put it. I remember thinking like I want to hold on to home as much as I can. I want to hold on to like my principles, and I don't want to change or cave for anything or anyone. I know a lot of those like stories of like people went to uni and became a different person. But I think on the way to come in here, there were like so many people were saying so many different things. Like, Cambridge is known for this, so it's known for that. Oh, you're gonna live out of Cambridge. Like, they had a lot of like comments and things to say. So I think it was a big thing of like proving everyone wrong. Like, I know you think I'm gonna turn left, but I'm actually straight, and I'm making my parents proud, sort of thing. Not academically, but
symbolically.
Some way, metaphysically. But yeah, over time, like I said, that life experience that I've gained in the past 2 years, like so much has happened that's just made me grow up a lot quicker, made me change the way I look at life. Like Cambridge isn't this like big thing that I'm trying to like navigate my way through. I am now the big thing, and Cambridge is just like sort of an aspect of it that I'm actually involved in now. I actually go to Cambridge. I'm involved. I stay here 3 nights in a row.
Nah, listen, bro. I remember in first year, yeah, so many people come up to me like, "Have you seen Zahra? Like, she's in London. Have you seen Zahra? Yeah, she's in London. Have you seen Zahra? Yeah, she's in London." Like, I think I said that phrase so many times in first year. Nah,
that's funny because the first memory I have of you is you going, "I hate this place, man. I'm trying to get out." And that, I think that was the only time I met you, and I feel like it was at some event in Jesus or something.
Nah, I think the first time I met you was at that Mozambique thing.
Oh yeah, it was.
Oh yeah.
I remember going, "You're from Mints, you're from
I remember that. And John's, yeah. I remember that. Yeah, that was so crazy.
But I don't know if you guys noticed this as well. When we was in first year, the dynamics of Cambridge has changed so much. When we was in first year, I remember when I would like walk past the road and I see like a black or brown person, I would literally like, I'm catching your eye as you're walking. Like it was rare. Yeah. When I felt like, I remember with you, I was like, bro, it's another brother from college. Like that is mad. And then last year there was like a lot more diversity. This year's even more. If this year's like, what is it, the makeup? Yeah, if this year's makeup existed in first year, I do think experiences will be slightly different. I'm seeing a lot more people walking around in trackies with like, do you know what I mean? The whole get up is like, I'm thinking, where was you when I needed you in first year?
Yeah, I think that says a lot about the growth of London culture as well, though. Do you know what I mean? As well as like the increased diversity of uni, I think that culture or that kind of style has become a lot more mainstream. Do you know what I mean? So.
But I appreciate that. I like that.
Yeah. Nah, but it is comforting to the eye though when you see something that's like familiar. Nah, 100%. Yeah.
But it's nice that I think right now is just when I tell my kids, "Oh, I went to Cambridge," it's not going to be, "I went to Cambridge, but I was in London." Yeah. Like it's going to be, "I went to Cambridge and I was here." Like.
I said, "Mum, what's that?" "I don't know, you know."
I don't know.
Let me check my memory. What is that?
Botanical garden as well.
We touched on it briefly, but what would you say were, like looking back now, were insecurities that you've had through your time in school or uni, or just generally?
I don't want to sound like a prick. I would say I'm quite a confident person. Insecurities, I don't know. Maybe I experience insecurities different. Like I guess everyone sort of absorbs it and projects it differently. For me, if I feel a type of way, like I wouldn't say it was insecurity. That, for example, when I was in uni, I was the outsider. It wasn't insecurity, but it was definitely there. It was like the elephant in the room sort of thing. Maybe with those sort of feelings, I react a bit more like feisty or angrily. But I don't about insecurities in general. I'm not even trying to sound like a prick or nothing. Like,
Would you say that's generally how you deal with things, like in a aggressive way?
I would say okay. I think I'm kind of passionate. I think that's my approach to things. If the situation requires angry passion, it will receive angry passion. But if it requires, positive passion, it will receive positive passion. I don't think I'm a moderate person. I think that's definitely one way to put it. Like I'm quite extreme. Like whatever I do or feel or blah blah blah, it will be to the max. Which isn't good, and it kind of like makes you rub shoulders, like whatever, like. But it is what it is, sort of thing. What about you guys? Like, what would you say was your insecurities coming to uni?
Boy.
One that comes to mind. I wouldn't say it's the biggest one, but it's just something that comes to mind. Is not being as skillful with the words I use. I feel like when I came to uni, there were some people that I was so impressed at how eloquent they were with words. Like, now not in terms of like how big the words were, but in terms of how they were just able to like neatly and like concisely just describe certain events or recall certain memories, or like let's describe a supervision, or describe things very like quickly, efficiently, clearly, like using very few words. And that's something that I don't think, when I came into uni, I didn't think I was that great at. Still don't think I'm particularly good at it. And it's something that I want to work on, basically. Yeah.
That's something I think about, and I realize it when I come across people that can do it, is being able to like really, really be yourself in every room. Like, and I notice it so much because it's so clear to me when people are just able to be themselves, and it's very liberating to see. So I think that's something I always will try and work towards more, because I think there's always an element of me that's like, am I just performing? Like, do you know what I mean?
I think with both of what you lots are saying, like as your insecurities, maybe there were insecurities that you've not insecure, I don't even like the word, but maybe there was something that you were sort of aware of from a long time. Because what you were saying about being able to describe things succinctly, I think you got that solid. And with you, like your energy is very clear whenever you come into a room. So I don't know what you guys are talking about.
That's sorted then. That's gone. Zahra sorted out. Man said, you not got nothing to worry about.
I guess with me, it's like I know I got a lot. You want me to list my we can begin from top to toe. But in terms of what input or like how I perceive this flaws, I wouldn't say it's an insecurity, but I definitely am aware of my flaws. Bruv, I don't talk properly neither. I'm an English student. You know how many times people have been like to me? But two things. One, how many people have been like to me, don't you do English? They'll hear me talking and it's like, but you don't got the word for that, don't you do English? And it's like, I barely do English. Don't be ridiculous. And number two, there's this one meme on Insta. It's like, oh, we all know someone who's like book smart but life dumb or something. About everyone on my contacts list has sent me that at a different point in life. I don't.
You can just tell from the blur. You know, before you download it, you're like, yeah, it's probably that. It's probably that.
I'm so familiar. But I think like, yeah, that's definitely one big thing for me. I ain't even book smart no more. So book smart. What's the last book I read?
My brand is evolving.
I'm transitioning.
I did start getting into books again recently. I started getting into more like independent writing. But
what does independent writing mean?
I like to write
unpublished. Oh, your own writing?
Yeah, not poems. I saw you going. You got a poem in the back. No, I like without academic pressure reading and writing. Okay. And I feel like, you know what I was saying about the whole social media thing, like if I'm not like absorbing myself into that crap, I kind of want to divert my energies into something more useful. I don't necessarily like the word productive too much because I feel like you don't have to be productive, but I think it's a like, I don't know, it helps you blossom a little bit, like reading other people's work, adopting their styles, and writing about it.
Who's someone or something that you've come across that you're like, yeah?
The recent book I'm reading is Americana, which it was a bit in the beginning. The start was a bit like, you know, actually I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to get cancelled. It was a bit cliche, basically.
You're gonna be trending.
My career's gonna start before I even started, bro.
Zahra, 2021. Is it true that was a completely different time? I was in a different stage of my life. We can't judge people. What would we think of Mahatma Gandhi?
Set me up, bro. But yeah, no, but then it turned out to be like a really cute love story, and I was reading this book called Three Fingered Jack, and it was a really like horrible book in terms of like the contents of it, but the little love story that they had in it was so sweet, and it's just I spent ages just writing on that. Why was I talking about that? Oh, I was talking about being book smart. No longer being book smart. Anyway, in life I am dumb. I cannot function. Like, that's as simple as it gets, bruv. I am very that stupid.
What kind of stuff have you been writing, or you want to write?
Well, poetry. What kind of stuff have I been writing? I feel like an important thing for me is just to develop a writing style. Just get so comfortable with it and let that be an organic way of me speaking that whenever I do write, everything becomes artistic, if that makes sense. I really don't like writing within confines of like essay structures and things like that because there's not so much room for a style to develop or flourish any of those things. When it comes to writing, I just like reading stuff and writing my own opinions on them. Sort of as personalized and unfiltered as I want it to be, sort of thing. Would I write a blog? No.
I was literally going to say, bro. He needs to start a blog right now.
See with a blog is, I said personalized and unfiltered. Unfiltered, yeah. This world of political correctness, I don't gel too well.
You need to adopt, or was it a pseudonym? Just
try to like soften the edges a little bit. Like.
What would you say is your biggest fear right now?
You guys go first.
Regret. I fear regret. But like, I know it's inevitable. I don't know, it's like, regret is a weird one, man, because it's like, part of me thinks you can kind of choose to let it in and let it out. Like, you kind of have a degree of control over whether or not you feel regret. But then yeah, I think similar to, I don't know if Saduddin said this on the podcast, but like, we're all at a juncture in our lives where it kind of feels like we can go down different tracks. And even though those tracks are not never ending, our life is ending. Like, you know, our life is not never ending as well. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you kind of have to battle with that tension of not undervaluing every day or every month or every year that you give to things. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, man, regret.
Growing out of the willingness to be fearless, probably, like the just being on taking risks. I don't ever want to. I think I'm getting to a point where, like, would I still be on doing that, or would I give myself so many excuses where I no longer take risks anymore, or just do things because I just want to. I want to do it, and I think it would be cool. That's something I'm I think afraid of losing.
I think this hyper-awareness really helps, like being able to be like, I want to make sure I don't lose that, so I'm going to work to make sure I don't lose that sort of thing. I thought you were saying fear is in like getting killed in your sleep. That's what I was like, I don't know where you're going with this, so you go first. in that sense, I think I was mentioning to you before, I'm really going through like a existential, trying to, corny as it sounds, like I'm trying to figure out like who I want to be, because I feel like I've got like a lot of experiences of different lives and different worlds and things like that, and I want to make sure I'm taking the best from them and not taking the best only, sort of thing. Like I want to make sure that the person I'm shaping out to be is someone that I am proud of. So if it was a fear of like in this in this time of like sort of rebuilding myself, I want to make sure that my foundations are good, like everything's good. Like I'm not letting no badness sort of like slip into that. Obviously it's inevitable, but as solid as I can be, you know. It's what it is.
What would you say you're most looking forward to, or something you're looking forward to?
Oh, I feel like anything to like, if it comes to any like, bruv, I started there. When it comes to looking forward to stuff, I think it would have to like, I would not consider like a career or uni or any of those things like in the equation. I don't know. I'm looking forward to like actually living a life that's worth telling a story about, sort of. I think it's really important, like I want to make an impact. Doesn't have to be great in numbers, but it has to be great in value, if that makes sense. I'm getting really cheesy, I'm sorry. I'm not I'm not actually moist in real life. But are you laughing? But yeah, no, I think I know what impact I want to have on the future, and I know what I want to achieve. Why are you laughing, bro? And yeah, I think like getting the wheels in motion for that. Like I'm ready to bounce from this place once my 5-year degree finishes. It is dragging at this point, but once I bounce, I want to like just get a degree in my pocket and a passport in the other, and just do what I need to like with life in it. That's the life. You got a whole life to live, bro.
Yeah. I remember when we were speaking last time I bumped into you, and you were saying that there's something happened between like yourself when you first came in and you being like, I just want to get out of this place, to like, yeah, I want to take things, like I want to make the most of this opportunity. What was that transition like, and how did it come about? Because I remember you saying there was just something in the summer that just kind of made you go, nah, I need to change the way I approach this place or life.
Yeah, I think when the pandemic hit and everything just went to a standstill, as horrible. That's what I mean. I'm saying the wrong thing, bro. COVID isn't a good thing, and it's horrible, and I hate it, and I want it to go, and I hate all of its consequences and whatnot. But don't you think it's mad? Like the whole world actually just paused, and people just had time to think. And in that moment, it was like I could have just continued with my experience in life, like floating through uni, just hating everything. Pausing and having that time to think and having those experiences where I'm meeting other people and I'm just sort of like exposing myself to different things, and it's like, actually, bruv, God has given me such a big opportunity, and I'm going to be questioned about this eventually. I'm going to be like, he's going to be like, out of like so many different people, you was there, what did you make out of it? And you kind of realize like the sort of scale of it. I've been deep in this quite a lot. Like, this life actually is nothing. And the substance of life is so intangible and not physical and all of those things. Like, the only sort of value that you have in it, I'm not even talking about uni, but I'm talking about what you do with this stage of your life. The only substance that you have in your life is like by the things that you do and the mark that you leave and all of that stuff. Bro, going to big Cambridge, that is an opportunity at your doorstep. Like you can meet so many different people. You can do so many different things. You can absorb and what's that thing other than absorb? What's the opposite?
Release.
Well, you don't do English, do you?
Teach.
Yeah, the project. Teach. Release. Do you get what I mean? Like everything in life is a learning experience. Take a mark and leave a mark. And yeah. I think I realised that. That's kind of when I got off my high horse. I was like, it's okay if these people aren't what you're familiar with, or like if they use words like blimey or whatever. It's calm. But yeah, no, I've just been enjoying everything since then, like every little thing. I feel like the past couple years have been really tumultuous. Like there's always some big highlight going on every other day, every other week or something. And I feel like a lot of things have been like really shaken up. So as I am right now, there's like a couple qualities, I guess, that you could define my character with. And I wonder which one of those will retain for my future self. How would my outlook be different? I think it's really interesting. Like, I'm currently in like a floating period of my life right now where I'm just sort of like floating, literally. And I hope that I'm a lot more settled by that point. Because truly being 31 and still floating, I just it doesn't sound ideal. But yeah, I don't know. I really want to know like who I end up becoming, how I end up becoming, what am I doing with my life? Am I still gonna be here in 10 years' time? Like, it's interesting.
What are those qualities you said that you're?
See, this is what I mean. Like, how do I say? Like, how do you do this without like I don't know. We'll all do it, and then I'll go last because I'm not trying to do none of that self-flattery.
No. I mean qualities that you're trying to at least like cultivate. So it doesn't.
Qualities that you're trying to cultivate.
Yeah.
I thought you were saying, what do you
You're
define
like,
yourself as
yeah,
now?
funny, I got that. So, yeah, I got that.
I mean, I don't know how to improve.
Do you know what? I think I'm alright, dude.
I'm everything I want to be. Like, one is everything. It's not a quality, but it's like a lot of my energy better be dedicated to my family. Like, a lot more so than it has been recently. I think like recently I've just been sort of doing things on my own and whatnot, like in my own little world. But yeah, definitely for my family. Another thing is I do gotta be a lot more solid. Like, be a bit more serious in life. Right now I'm the most unserious person I ever met. But yeah, I think even though I'm serious, I better maintain like energy and my outlook and my goals and all of those things. Like, try navigate having all of these like thoughts and aspirations into one more solid being. That makes sense.
I love the way you say better. I better be this.
I better
be this. Yeah.
What about for yourselves? Hard one, isn't it?
I usually think about the idea of being in alignment. So being able to, what it is that you think is what you say is what you do. And I think so long as that is the case, then whatever the outcome is, that the output is, that doesn't concern me. Like, that's cool.
I like that a lot.
Yeah, I like what you said earlier about foundations and just like having your foundation solid. And for me, it's I want to have that as well. Just kind of foundational knowledge or foundational routines. Like, we all know what the most important things in our lives are, like in terms of the broad categories of things. So just having a foundation in all of those categories, basically.
Yeah.
Cool. I think the last question I want to ask before we wrap it up is, how do you define success?
Boy, I think you can define your success within the parameters of what your own individual goals are, and who I think success is a lot for me. Who is sort of experiencing or sharing in that success. I think, like I've mentioned quite a bit about my family, and my goals would tie in quite a lot to them. So it's like being successful is knowing exactly what you want to achieve from this world, and for me, like personally, I want to make sure that my family are absorbing in that, basically. I know I can be truly successful when I myself am solid and my family's happy, and I know I'm doing right by my Lord. And do you know what? I want to go around two on that question because I don't actually know how to define success. because goals can be so individual and so like niche and random. Yeah, I think on a very personal level, finding what it is that you want to do right by and doing right by them, or that sort of thing.
Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot.
I might have stumbled. I'm tired at this point. Bro, I need my water.